ini pertanyaan buat lu sih. Opening question. Lu lulusan NUS, National University of Singapore, prestigious. Pernah kerja as a product manager di Shopee Data Analytics. And sekarang as a first employee di Compound juga, full-time core team members that is initiating a lot of projects. Tapi actually the first touch point yang pertama kali gue kenal sama lo adalah when you did the coding test. When you came to
maksudnya kayak buat kayak first gue masuk ke Compound, maksudnya kayak first touch point.
Betul. So we devised a number of questions, ada coding testnya, and then immediately I knew this guy has grit. Gitu kan. The question is, how did you develop that grit?
Oh, that's a very good question sih. Honestly, ketika the first time gue dapet coding testnya, gue immediately know kayak I actually don't have any experience in all of this. Kayak I think waktu itu it was a lot of SQL, a lot of Python, and gue juga kayak nggak pernah touch Python that much sebenarnya waktu gue di Shopee. Jadi before, maybe a bit context, before gue di Compound kayak kan gue di Shopee and I was working mostly as a data analyst or PM, and I was mainly using SQL lah in my day-to-day work. Maybe similar to Budi juga kan, Budi kan jadi SQL warrior di company ini kan gitu. And ya kayak it's a lot of just googling. Kayak at that point gue banget belum ada AI, or at least kayak ChatGPT wasn't very common.
Was dumb.
Iya, yeah, we're just I guess ya masih dumb kan. Jadi a lot of like googling, a lot of the just trying out things, testing out things, and waktu itu juga ada deadline kan the technical, I think the technical assessment was 1 day long. So yeah, I just managed to script through aja sih luckily. Honestly, gue juga bingung gimana caranya gue bisa selesai tesnya sih. Yeah.
What is it like as an SQL person di Shopee waktu itu that you think is the main driving factor in allowing you to develop the grit?
Yeah, I guess mungkin it goes back to dulu sih, sebelum gue masuk Shopee, kayak I wasn't a tech guy at all gitu. I was a chemical engineer by training because that's my bachelor's degree gitu kan. And it was a lot of pipes, a lot of physics, a lot of like water flow, heat, and mass transfer and everything. And basically COVID hits. So at that point, I was interning a lot in oil and gas companies like Shell, like kayak Exxon gitu. Tapi because of COVID, they weren't hiring. So basically you need to pivot kan, and then in order to survive, in order to find a job in the Singapore job market waktu itu. And you know kayak I started my job finding dari start of year 4. So 12 months before gue graduate.
Okay.
And you know kayak gue baru dapat kerjaan tuh kapan?
Kayak setelah graduate?
Yeah, I think around like 2 months or 1 month before I graduate. So it took me 11 months to actually find a job, just because that job market was quite hell. Mungkin sekarang juga, gue gak bisa ngomong buat sekarang juga kayak it's very tough. Tapi at that point kayak just because you don't have the skills, kayak you are a chemical engineer, a lot of people will ask you kayak why should I hire you? Kayak do you have the necessary skills buat kayak do SQL atau kayak nge-code atau misalkan in finance atau economics gitu. So at that point the only company that gave me kayak a chance was Shopee gitu, and I started off as a PM. I don't know anything about PM gitu. Tapi kayak dia bilang, hey, you can just learn it. It's just like making products, you will enjoy it and everything. It's just like customer, stakeholder management. But it was actually more than that. Kayak lu juga harus tahu kayak about APIs, how does it work, how do consumer kayak use our products gitu. And at that point of time, ya gue nggak terlalu tahu gitu. And basically it was a lot of like learning, not much hand-holding di Shopee juga. Kayak it's basically like almost a cutthroat environment where if you succeed, you will rise the ranks pretty quickly. Tapi kalau misalnya lu enggak, then you will get cut gitu. Or you'll sort of like live life knowing that you won't get anywhere in this company gitu. So I again actually go pivot lagi dari PM gue jadi data analyst gitu. So and a lot of people ask me, how do you become a data analyst dari PM? Because when you are a PM, you don't know coding at all. You just know about kayak maksudnya generally lu tahu kayak ada APIs and such, tapi lu nggak actually the one making it. So how do you pivot your career untuk kayak jadi data analyst gitu kan? And it was a lot of like lead code sih. So I think if the kayak maksudnya orang-orang di luar sana kayak nggak tahu, kayak dulu kita kayak nggak ada ChatGPT, ada Gemini gitu buat nge-code gitu. Kita need to use LeetCode untuk kayak belajar coding. LeetCode, HackerRank, EDX, all those things yang kayak sounds alien and nobody knows about this because the rise of vibe coding kan. Terus jadinya ya kayak it was a lot of grit and a lot of just trying yourself aja, just finding out kayak what you're good at, what you're passionate at, and gue realize kayak I have a knack for coding gitu. Sadly gue nggak realize ini ketika di uni lah, gue baru realize ini ketika gue kerja gitu. And it's a lot more at stake gitu. Kalau di uni kan lu emang guided by the professor and all, but in real life, in working life, it's basically maksudnya nggak segila itu, tapi kayak life or death gitu kan. Kalau lu nggak bisa ya udah, lu keluar, lu kayak basically nggak ada kerjaan gitu. So yeah, it's a lot of training, a lot of juga kayak nanya-nanya orang and everything. Jadi maybe because my life journey juga banyak pivoting, because maybe me as a teenager I didn't know kayak gue pengen apa in life. So yeah, I guess that's where gue develop grit sih.
There are a lot of things to unpack here kan, mulai dari pas lu lagi kuliah, terus lu mau apply kerjaan, took you 10 months to apply. I think I also took about like around that time as well. Terus the job market was tough, and then especially so because apa yang lu pelajarin itu nggak berkaitan dengan job openings yang waktu itu. Mungkin waktu itu banyak yang software engineer atau product manager.
Betul,
tapi lu belajarnya kayak chemical engineering. And you had an internship experience di Shell, tapi it didn't really give you that
edge gitu kan,
as an applicant. After you landed in Shopee juga, there were so many strange things that you have to understand. And I can imagine kalau misalnya perusahaan yang besar, pasti juga banyak lingos atau things yang kayak you don't really know how to navigate yourself around. How do you feel ketika you had to pivot that and then faced with a lot of uncertainty, and then you also mentioned that at that time you didn't know what you want to do with life. How do you feel and how do you deal with that feeling?
At that moment, ada a bit of regret, honestly speaking, because a lot of people, or even sometimes family or friends gitu bilang, did you actually waste kayak 4 years of university gitu, of studying things yang actually lu nggak pakai ketika lu kerja in real life gitu. Dan maybe me myself kayak gue juga mikir sih kayak did I actually waste my time gitu kan. And tapi gue juga bukan tipe orang yang dwell in like negativity in a sense, kayak I try to have this thing called PMA,
positive ini gue belajar dari lu sih.
Positive mental attitude. Dan gue berasa ya kalau lu positif about your life, kayak you will get somewhere. Dan that's what I apply lah basically ya, ketika there's a lot of like job rejections, atau misalkan lu kayak nggak dapet kayak any callback even kan, kayak di ghost lah sama companies gitu, you just keep on grinding, lu terus untuk apply aja sih waktu itu gue. Dan fortunately kayak dapet di Shopee kan, but turns out ketika gue masuk Shopee, it was like a different, or I would say unique work culture juga, because I cannot speak Chinese, so and a lot of lingos there are in Chinese because we work with Chinese developers. So there was a bit of like gaps lah in terms of my experience at PM, because I wasn't able to explain things clearly probably in Chinese also, then maybe they weren't mereka juga nggak gitu gampang mengerti things in English juga gitu. So at that point kayak a lot of like nanya orang sih kayak how do you translate this for me, atau misalkan juga how do you what was the meaning of like certain words atau certain lingos di PM yang lu ini, misalnya PRD, BRD, how do we do customer surveys, how do we kayak eventually create products, how do we kayak ensure timeline goes successfully. It was something yang maksudnya ya lu learn by doing gitu. Dan yang gue realize adalah the things that I learned in university about those 4 years, actually I learned about kayak time management. I learned about kayak misalkan systematic thinking gitu, how to make processes. Although kayak in my case during university it was more like water flow gitu, kayak dari kayak pipa A ntar jadi ke boiler B, ntar hasilnya jadi dibuat kayak di tank C gitu kan. Tapi
fluid dynamics.
Iya, kayak cuman sebenarnya flowchart juga kayak gitu kan, kayak misalnya system thinking, kayak customer lihatnya A dulu, baru dia klik button B, terus dari button B dia dibawa ke page C gitu. So it was actually a lot of systematic thinking and process flowcharts juga, cuman lebih probably simpler kan for human to understand gitu. Kayak it's just a human, how do human use your product gitu sih. Itu product management basically is gitu. Dan making it useful.
Yes, so it seems the positive mental attitude-nya itu datang dari your willingness untuk try things out and then lu figure out that actually these things that I'm doing right now is kind of related to the things that I studied last time, or you work first and then the PMA comes about.
I would say because of PMA lu bisa mengerjakan hal itu sih. Kayak awalnya misalnya data analis gitu kayak versi Shopee, kayak SQL, gue nggak ngerti SQL sama sekali gitu. And what I did is basically tiap malam gue just lembur aja sih for my own gitu. Dengan the hopes kayak dengan gue mengerjakan hal ini, gue berasa ini bakal benefit buat gue in the future gitu. Dan in order to do that, in order to lembur dan kayak actually do things work related outside of work hours, biasa orang kayak males lah kayak sebagainya. Cuman ya only PMA aja sih yang bisa membantu lu get through that period. Dan maksudnya gue juga lucky enough to have people around me and juga support me and keep telling me kayak hello, kayak bro you can do this gitu, kayak as long as you work hard, as long as lu kayak try your best in everything and be the best version of yourself every day gitu. Having that kayak I would say not just positive mental attitude, tapi having that determination and discipline aja sih. And that will enable you untuk kayak learn new things faster. And in this new era, maksudnya kayak ya it's even more important untuk lu kayak learn new things faster kan. So that's probably what I learned sih during my period di Shopee, during my transition dari CamEdge ke kayak more data related jobs juga sih.
What's the most challenging part about you executing that, being the best version of yourself on a day-to-day basis?
That's a tough question sih. Honestly, you just have to have that confidence in you that maksudnya all the things that happen in your life itu brought you to this very moment gitu. Kayak maksudnya ini sedikit throwback juga, kayak kita kan ketemu sebenarnya very random. Kita ketemu gara-gara baksos bro.
Iya.
Kita ketemu gara-gara baksos, kayak it's not unrelated to kerja, kayak dan gue happen to kayak be in the next batch for that baksos operations. Dan in the end kayak gue merasa lucu juga kita bisa kayak reconnect back gitu loh. Kayak kita ketemu kayak random. You were my senior in NUS, kayak I known you kayak to be this guy yang kayak very tenacious, tapi juga very kayak calm gitu loh in the presence of kayak issues itu. Cause I do remember kayak there was one issue yang kita face di mana kayak
apa itu?
Flight nggak dulu kayak pas zamannya gue kayak one day before the trip itu kita flightnya cancel yang dari Singapura ke Bali. Iya.
Itu yang batch kita atau batch?
Itu batch-nya gue.
Batch lo?
Batch gue.
Oke,
ya.
terus.
Tapi gue inget banget kayak I think you were also there in the call karena because you were helping around juga kayak with our batch punya baksos gitu. And it was such a very kayak stressful situation. Tapi yang gue inget banget adalah kayak in the end it was resolved gitu. And then looking back kayak honestly gue ada deep admiration kayak at how lu juga able to calm me and the other kayak directors gitu sih. Karena gue ingat banget kayak ada lu deh pokoknya pas waktu itu. Dan it's very calming to know kayak ada someone yang kayak bisa loh kayak in this very desperate situation dimana kayak people are depending on you, lu tetap bisa stay calm. Itu yang gue juga kayak try to have. And every day kayak there will always be situations dimana kayak lu juga nggak ada control of things.
Yep.
Lu juga mungkin nggak tahu how to do certain things. Tapi yang gue understand at least di Shopee dan di company ini juga di Recompon is that whenever lu ask for help, people will generally kayak be happy to tell you how to do things aja sih. Jadi selama lu juga maksudnya lu nggak keep it bottled in you and lu ask for help and lu also be resourceful kan, kayak there are so many things in the world right now kayak AI and tools untuk help you, kayak gue merasa lu bakal bisa solve anything sih, as long as lu have that kayak discipline, that mindset kayak gue pasti bisa gitu, and don't limit yourself aja sih.
Right, so if I get this correctly, the main challenge adalah when you are faced with uncertainty, there's just like atau nggak problemsnya in this day and age tuh bisa datang dari mana aja gitu kan, and then just being the best self itu agak sulit, and then by acknowledging the fact that ada orang-orang di sekitar lu juga yang akan siap untuk bantuin lu ketika lu dalam kesulitan, allows you to overcome that challenge as well.
Iya, I would say orang-orang penting banget sih. Kayak gue ngerti lah kadang orang kayak just kayak pakai AI untuk kayak solve things, tapi in general having that group of people that you really trust and lu juga peduli opinion mereka bisa kasih lu some insights yang lu nggak pernah mikirin aja, dan mereka bisa kasih lu jalan atau mungkin secercah dari experience mereka yang bisa membantu lu dalam hidup. Itu yang gue percaya sih.
Yeah. So you do believe that the human experience, even though sekarang kayak banyak banget artificial intelligence that is floating around the internet, is going to give you a different way of looking at solving a problem, and then allow you to solve that problem eventually. Tapi how has that problem solving change or evolve over time? Especially sekarang kan juga technological rapid ya. Sekarang kayak lu coding pakai cursor, dulu kan pakai Visual Studio Code doang.
Iya.
And dulunya previously sama sekali nggak ada like coding tools because you were like a chemical engineering. So how has that changed in terms of you leveraging on like the fast-paced technology days developing?
I would say banyak tools di luar sana, dan maybe kayak gue juga kayak engineering kayak it's all about problem solving, it's about kayak making kayak proof of concept jadi reality gitu. So I do enjoy executing, kayak in general kayak gue orang yang kayak emang very hands on. I try to be as hands on as I can, and gue percaya kayak learning by doing aja sih. Jadi even kayak ketika gue mulai jadi compound, gue juga nggak gitu jago coding, kayak actually gue nggak bisa coding. gue kayak just kind of fluff my way up to the technical assessment, and when I got it kayak gue baru pikir kayak okay, kayak when we get there then we'll decide, we will try to see kayak what's other solution gitu kan. Dan iya kayak a lot of asking, a lot of handholding juga, misalnya kayak a lot of kayak nanya kayak ke lu dan juga ke Budi juga kayak on how to do things, on how kayak the back end kayak strukturnya kayak gimana, front endnya kayak gimana. Dan in the end gue realize as lu code more, you raise more, ya ini very technical terms lah, you raise more pull request, jadinya lu lebih ngerti aja sedikit. Jadi misalkan gue ngerti tentang kayak the invoicing part of Recompound, kayak how do they do it gitu, or gue ngerti kayak how do we manage kayak the onboarding part for our clients gitu. Jadi it's a gradual process dimana gue might not understand 100% of this, tapi gue bisa ngerti bagian ini dulu, cara onboard klien yang bener gimana, dari segi operations, dari segi technical gimana. Itu gue udah gue move on ke next part. Gimana caranya gue bantu mereka kayak decide kayak misalnya issue rebalancing order gitu, kayak gimana gitu. So I would say breaking things kayak yang awalnya gede banget kelihatannya into like small bite-sized pieces is always the best way untuk kayak understand concepts or even kayak things yang kayak alien to you at the start. Dan looking back kayak kalau misalkan gue bisa lihat diri gue yang kayak ketika gue join Recompound like 1.5 years ago, kayak gue bilang ke lu, don't worry, kayak lu gak mungkin bisa langsung ngerti semuanya gitu loh in one day. Tapi in that one day lu bisa ngerti mungkin 1/100. And by the end of the day 100, lu udah ngerti 100% gitu loh. Jadi kayak, that's the beauty gitu loh. Jadi jangan pernah discount yourself. Have a little bit of faith in yourself bahwa eventually kayak you will get there gitu. But always it's a gradual kayak one step at a time aja sih.
And ketika sistemnya itu amat sangat besar, you want to not force yourself to understand everything more than you can chew, because otherwise you burn yourself out.
Betul, ya.
Have you experienced that before?
Wah, pernah sih. Pernah. Kayak di Shopee itu sebenarnya the culture adalah kalau misalkan you are very good at things, they'll just keep feeding you more stuff gitu. Jadi at one point misalkan lu harus ngerti kayak the whole supply chain on network of Shopee, and you know kayak Shopee ada kayak 7 countries with its own supply chain, and then you need to understand the different supply chain. Let's say it's a air package, it's a land package, it's a sea package gitu. And yeah, at that time a lot of time is spent on kayak understanding this and coming up with data solutions yang you might not really understand gitu, kayak how it works in Singapore, how it works in Indonesia gitu. And being data analyst is all about kayak not just lu bisa pull data, tapi you can explain the data in a business sense gitu. And that time kayak the business sense wasn't that good enough. Jadinya ketika lu bite more than a giant chew, lu jadinya keluarin output analysis yang sebenarnya kayak is very ngambang-ngawang gitu loh, kayak nggak in depth gitu loh. Jadi yang gue realize ya harusnya mungkin lu start at the one country first, atau one mode of transportation first, atau 1 mile first, dan lu ngerti dulu semuanya baru lu kayak branch out gitu. So we call it in Shopee kayak lu go deep vertically instead of like knowing a lot of things horizontally gitu. Because if you know a lot of things horizontally, lu jadinya ya you are jack of all trades tapi master of none gitu. Kayak omongannya kayak kita ya lu kayak ngerti dikit-dikit tapi lu nggak bener-bener in depth gitu. Lu jadinya kayak ngawang aja sih. So at that point gue gue realize the mistakes that I've done, kayak gue bite more than I chew, and then that analysis yang gue kasih juga kayak nggak ada esensinya. Dan ketika lu ngomongin orang, oh ini maksud jadinya apa ya, maksudnya kayak gue juga
bro,
iya jelek bro gitu. Dan lu realize kayak shit, kayak I think gue harus dievaluate kan, kayak proses gue kenapa gue bisa sampai di sini. Dan kayak as you can mention kayak first principle gitu, gue realize ya udah gue kebanyakan ambil, gue harus kayak go down deeper to the roots lagi, kayak apa yang bikin gue kayak misalkan salah in the first place in terms of kayak way of thinking, in terms of kayak the analysis that I put out gitu.
But in Shopee, I would think that competition is also a huge issue gitu kan.
Yeah.
For example, kalau misalnya lu ada 7 countries, maybe you have to understand China, Indonesia, Malaysia gitu kan. Tapi there will be other analysts that will try to one up you as well in your line of work. And then so in the sense that you can't really take your own sweet time and then ya udah kerjain satu-satu for example gitu kan. How do you balance that? How do you deal with that? Knowing that shit ini gue ada competition, or like gue FOMO nih orang lain juga jago kayak gitu. Seems smart gitu.
Wah, jadi kayak mungkin buat konteks juga kan di Shopee kayak as you know kayak kita ada di kiasu culture kan. Jadi is a Hokkien word for
takut kalah.
Gimana kayak takut kalah orang gitu, kayak gue nggak mau kalah gitu kan. And it breeds this kind of kayak work culture di mana kayak it's a percentile based ranking gitu. Jadi lu nggak dinilai based on your output, lu dinilai based on your peers. Kalau misal peers lu kayak let's say lu selesain all your task for a given week, you meet your KPIs, tapi your colleague, every one of them exceeds the KPI, then basically you're F gitu kan. Ya cuman yang gue realize adalah kayak different people ada different strengths aja sih. Jadi lu but the same thing that all people have adalah 24 hours of time gitu. So you can use that 24 hours of time wisely, smartly, effectively, dan dari sana ya lu baru bisa come up with okay, gue jago di hal ini, gue not going to spend misalkan 2-3 hours of, let's say misalkan gue writing, but I'll spend 2 to 3 hours to learn coding gitu, which I'm good at. So in the end you need to know your niche, you need to know kayak lu jago di mana, and just hone it sih like a spear gitu. Kayak like saying misalkan kayak di compound kita kayak banyak banget orang nanya gitu kayak kenapa lu nggak crypto gitu, yang pas lagi booming kan, tapi kita selalu ngomong ya kita jago di saham Indo bos. Dan gue merasa ya kalau lu jago di satu hal, dan satu hal itu kayak maksudnya it's a huge enough issue to solve, then just focus on that one thing sih. Unless kayak that issue kayak is not big enough ya, baru kayak you find more other things itu. Tapi ya gue merasa kayak coding is such a vast kayak landscape dan kayak lu harus belajar juga banyak hal gitu, dan lu mau misalkan kayak branch out sebelum lu jago at this one thing, gue rasa it's just sayang aja gitu. Jadi gue lebih suka kayak ya gue master at this, and ketika kayak nanti work gue di compare sama our peers ya, okay, you're good at this, kayak I'll just kayak misalnya, dan emang ini half higher quality, so even if you build misalkan one less product than the rest, but that product is very very good gitu. Itu sih yang paling penting.
Already enough. Yeah. So if you were to turn back time, let's say, and then you knew that finding your own strength, where you are good at, is very very important today, how would you go about finding it? Like how would you know that, for example, oh, I'm not good at coding, or like I'm actually really good at marketing, or like I'm good at product management. How would you know that that is your main strength as a person?
Usually the advice that I would even let kayak orang-orang uni sekarang is always to try a lot of things. Karena lu masih muda gitu, kayak lu masih muda, dan lu, maksudnya gue juga nggak mau ngomongin buat mungkin orang-orang, misalnya kayak mungkin ada orang yang juga ada kayak kewajiban mungkin dari segi kayak finansial dan sebagainya, tapi in general, for the general population, gue percaya orang harus mencoba banyak hal aja sih, dan lu lihat mana yang lu suka. Don't spend too much resources, maksudnya kayak let's say lu untuk testing gitu, lu suka coding gitu, lu nggak perlu spend like millions gitu, lu bisa spend like, you just take a course, like a $30, $20 course untuk know kayak gue suka atau nggak. Kalau gue nggak suka, then gue move on to other things gitu.
Ya, intro to CS.
Iya, kayak something like that, kayak intro to CS inilah. Atau misalkan ya kayak test a lot of things, kayak do and then make the testing buat each things that lu interested itu cepat gitu. Jadi ketika lu bisa mencoba banyak hal, jadi nanti ketika lu udah gede, oh gue tahu nih, gue udah pernah coba misalkan PM, gue kurang suka gitu, atau gue udah pernah coba banking, finance, gue udah suka. Dibanding kayak ketika lu udah tua, lu realize kayak oh gue belum pernah coba semua hal ini dan gue nggak tahu yang mana gue ini. Jadi lu masih kayak scattered dan lu nggak ada pinpoint untuk kayak oh gue pengen do this sih. So in my experience kayak generally orang kayak ketika masih muda kayak mencoba banyak hal, terus ketika lu mulai ada tanggungan, lu mulai ada family, lu mulai ada kids, dan lu hone at what lu good at.
And that's a very very interesting observation kan, ketika lu mencoba banyak hal, and then your life stage berubah, and then there are more stakeholders in your life. For example, you now have a family, you have children, dan lain sebagainya. Maybe the question that I have for you next adalah, how do you remain intellectually honest about what you like, what you truly like, versus what you actually don't like? Because maybe sometimes people are already trapped into a certain path di mana actually they don't like the job that
they're doing.
Misalnya lu kerja dokter kayak apa aja itu ya?
Apa aja lah, maksudnya kayak emang lu mungkin lu realize kayak later in your life kayak itu bukan passion lu, atau mungkin gue come to work every day,
right?
Itu kayak sedikit disgruntled / juga kayak kurang happy gitu kan.
That's correct, which is why I'm curious as to whether you have a framework of thinking to be intellectually honest with yourself about the things that you truly like versus the things that you actually don't like, and then how do you deal with that?
Honestly kayak dari gue ya, yang gue realize itu just waking up each day and see what your mood is sih.
Oke.
Kayak ketika gue di Shopee gitu, kayak gue nggak pernah kayak bangun dan kayak gue kayak excited buat.
Oke.
Kayak gue jujur aja kayak maksudnya, dan gue tuh kebanyakan orang tuh merasa kayak gitu, kayak maksudnya kebanyakan orang kayak bangun dan they actually hate their job gitu. Dan I'm not saying kayak maksudnya kayak to quit your job gitu loh, tapi kayak gue pernah denger, ini side track banget sih, tapi gue pernah denger kayak lagu Hindia, judulnya Badan Salah Karir Ini Tidak Ada Artinya. Dan kalau misalnya lu dengerin lagu itu, basically dia ngomongin kayak maksudnya, lu tiap hari kayak bangun, and you really hate your life gitu loh, kayak tapi lu udah ada tanggung jawab sehingga lu nggak bisa mencoba hal ini. Tapi ya yang dia ngomong adalah kayak ya karir yang lu punya ini tidak artinya kalau lu emang nggak enjoy apa yang lu lakuin dan lu kayak nggak merasa fulfilled aja dalam hidup lu. So it's very tough situation to be in kalau misalkan lu udah ada kayak tanggungan gitu kan, because you just have to keep doing that kan. Cuman kalau if you have the privilege buat kayak let's say lu emang udah ada emergency fund and sebagainya, the only way adalah untuk ask yourself every morning sih, kayak if gue wake up the next day, what would make me excited about that day gitu. Itu the best kayak determining factor di mana lu udah happy belum sama hidup lu gitu. Iya. Atau at least lu excited gak untuk kayak tackling kayak the problems that you're going to face on that day gitu. Yeah. Jadi if the answer is no, kayak I think you definitely need a change aja sih. Kayak I don't know if that's the answer that you are in.
No. I mean like there's no right or wrong answer, bro. I mean it's like your belief juga gitu kan. I mean maybe for some people they would also look into today myself today versus myself like 5 years ago, and am I actually happy to be myself today versus when I was like 5 years ago. I mean that's like something that people can ask as well. Tapi and the follow up question naturally becomes, let's say for example gue bangun tidur terus gue kayak shit, gue nggak suka kerjanya kayak gini, atau my mood is incredibly bad because I have to come up with this boss, or like I have to deal with this project, or I have to go to the office today and it's like not very nice gitu kan. The office environment is not very nice, for example. I understand you talked about PMA and everything juga, tapi I'm pretty sure that these people yang experience this maybe cannot really be solved with just PMA. And then the not so good outcome of that sometimes, or like byproduct, is that you would ada kayak pelarian kayak gitu misalnya, then you do other things that makes you momentarily happy, misalnya spekulasi di stock market for example.
Ya kayak gambling kan,
gambling
atau kayak,
for example,
to be honest pinjol to a certain extent gitu.
Kayak gitu.
Saya lo ada pelarian aja gitu.
Ada pelariannya whatever it is. What I understand that definitely lu nggak ada kayak begitu tapi what do you think would you tell yourself kayak gitu?
At the end of the day, you need to face the things that you fear about sih. So let's say kayak lu wake every day and you fear your boss gitu, kayak you need to face it, and maksudnya lu harus be honest with yourself. Jadi gue orangnya kebanyakan orang bilang gue kayak very bukan ya kayak realistis gitu kan. Maksudnya is either lu ganti bos atau lu suck it up and lu tetap sama nih bos gitu. So you have to list the pros and cons gitu loh, kayak kenapa gue masih stay sama nih bos gitu. What's the pros of it? What's the cons gitu. Jadi whenever kayak lu realize kayak lu wake up dan lu benci nih bos dan kayak lu pengen kayak ini, dan ya lu harus keep reminding yourself kayak what's the pros and cons, kayak apakah kayak gue stay with this boss because of something. Tapi kalau misalkan that something berubah atau in the end priorities lu berubah, ya what will happen gitu. Jadi yang gue realize adalah ya you need to have a calculative mindset, di mana ya gue mikirin ke depannya kayak gue mau ngapain sih. Kayak misalnya gue stay with this boss because kayak I wanna learn from him gitu. Or it's okay if I suffer gitu. Or if I stay with this boss just because I'm trying to find other things that I'm happier about. Tapi the sad truth is like usually nobody is going to save you gitu. Jadi and that's a bit pessimistic kan, tapi in a sense it's also optimistic in a sense that only lu yang punya control over diri lu dan over what you're thinking. Jadi whenever you face this kind of things, ya just know kayak what you're doing it for. And soal pelepasan yang tadi lu ngomong kayak people go into pinjol, people go into ini, I would say the best thing adalah to control your mind supaya lu nggak kayak develop this kind of habit of addiction. Is to control your body first and foremost, which is kayak I try to exercise lah. I try to exercise regularly, be with people yang kayak juga have good habits in the sense of exercising, of eating healthy, having good sleep gitu. And you would be surprised kayak these kind of habits, healthy habits itu bakal really influence your mind sih. Kayak lu bakal bisa berpikir lebih jernih aja sih. So yeah, and the easiest way untuk develop these good habits biasanya adalah to keep your surrounding itu bener-bener free of toxicity and full of good habits ini. Jadi mungkin lu temenan sama orang-orang yang juga olahraga, temenan sama orang-orang yang juga peduli dengan makan sehat gitu. And that's a lot easier dibanding lu try to convert your peers yang juga kayak addicted tuh, kayak misalkan gambling in the stock market atau gambling in crypto gitu. Because I realize you are kayak the person of the 5 people that you're closest with gitu loh. Maksudnya lu reflection of the 5 people that you're closest with. Jadi kalau lu surround yourself with people yang kayak you think is producing bad energy, yeah, you will have bad energy bro. That's the reality gitu. Itu yang realize. So yeah, I think change your environment, also improve your body supaya have a clearer mind, and eventually kayak lu juga baru bisa mikirin kayak what do you want to do in this life, the pros and cons of every decision. Dan ketika lu make that leap of faith of let's say lu mau ganti bos atau lu mau kayak ganti kerjaan atau lu mau kayak stick with it, kayak just know kayak don't regret whatever decision, because the decision that you made at that point of time is made with the facts that you're given gitu. Let's say kayak misalnya lu beli stocks kan, kayak let's say ya lu nggak bisa, maksudnya kayak lu ada fakta of that stock kayak at that point of time. Let's say Indian itu goes up or goes down, ya baru lu kayak lihat lagi kayak faktanya apa pada saat itu terjadi lagi gitu. Tapi maksudnya lu nggak bisa kayak blame yourself in the past gitu, kayak for deciding to not hold it atau kayak to not sell it gitu. Because at that point of time lu cuma ada fakta itu aja.
And nobody's gonna save you.
Iya. Jadi ya you just have to take accountability aja sih about your decisions.
Yeah. And that's very important, especially as a person who, as people, we suffer from hindsight biases.
Yeah.
Ya kan, usually we tend to regret the decisions that we made in the past, although we've made the decisions with the best of data. Kayak ketika
at that point of time gitu.
And then maybe supaya lu bisa bantu untuk minimize regret itu adalah live your life to the fullest, be healthy, and then surround yourself with good people and keep improving yourself as a person day by day. But how do you stay patient? Because the result is not like you don't like eat good food, like eat healthy food and then exercise for one day and have a good night's sleep. And suddenly you become
this brand new person, Superman gitu kan ya.
It's not like that, gitu.
Yeah, the reality, it boils down to disiplin sama konsistensi. Dan kebanyakan orang maksudnya kayak yang gue lihat ya, kayak those people di SMA gue gitu dulu yang they're very fit gitu. Kayak ketika gue ketemu mereka baik lagi ya, kayak they become fat gitu. Dia bikin kayak fat, mungkin kayak perutnya juga gak buncit gitu. Dan not saying kayak these are kayak oke, lu jelek banget kayak gitu. Cuman kayak it just means kayak ya ketika times change, ketika they grow older, they don't necessarily develop these habits gitu of kayak maintaining the level of kayak activity ketika kita SMA gitu. Kita SMA kan kayak main basket, main sepak bola gitu, atau kayak mungkin lu do judo, taekwondo and everything gitu. Dan ketika for some reason ketika lu mulai kerja, all of these things itu no longer important to you. Padahal sebenarnya being active itu very important gitu menurut gue kan, untuk kayak develop this habit gitu. So I would say ya again kayak relive lu punya priorities. Misalnya lu harus tahu priority lu apa dan make a dedication atau kayak determination untuk oke, gue harus follow this journey gitu. And be maksudnya kayak kalau misalnya lu emang gak accountable to yourself, find someone that is accountable to you. So let's say find a gym bro gitu yang kayak emang udah goes to the gym gitu, atau kayak find someone that is already running gitu. So ya ketika lu nggak run and lu lihat this person, your gym bro or your running bro gitu runs, then lu kayak anjir gue kayak ketinggalan gitu sih. I don't know, kayak I would say it's a mindset thing sih.
I can definitely relate to that.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, I follow this running influencer namanya Nick Bester.
Iya.
Terus dia jago banget.
Yeah.
Bro. Dia jago banget. Dia kayak 5K, 14 minutes and everything kayak gitu-gitu. Tapi the level of dedication that he puts into training itu public. Jadi ada Strava-nya kan. And then you can I actually follow him on Strava. And then he'll be like, oh yeah, I'm doing like an easy double today. Terus kayak pace-nya 4:30, terus kayak 16 km kayak gitu. Oh yeah, just easy. Yes. Okay, if this guy can run 16 km for 30 minutes pace gitu kan. Yeah, at the very least I can run a quarter of that at like a much slower pace.
Pace gitu kan.
And it will be like an easy pace, like a much slower pace, like 430 is a very hard pace, bro. Tapi maksudnya, yeah, definitely can relate when you say it's important for you to it's important for you to have another person look at another person and hopefully make yourself be a little bit more accountable when you are trying to put your life in order. And then I think the key ingredient as well is to set your priorities right. And I think a lot of people don't realize how much of a priority that these healthy lifestyle dan lain sebagainya have to be gitu kan. As time goes, more and more people will realize, and then hopefully it will get better.
Dan actually gue juga sebenarnya juga inspired by lu sih, Top.
Oh gitu?
Gue juga kita kan follow Strava lah.
Okay.
Terus gue liat tiap hari lu lari at least kayak 3-5 kilo tiap hari. Dan itu juga memotivasi gue gitu. Jadi ya, that's the importance of kayak lu bener-bener surround yourself with people yang emang lu wanna become like gitu sih.
Wah, jangan.
Jadi kayak makanya gue kayak gue belum lari nih minggu ini. Gue harus lari kayak gitu. Jadi ya itu sih, itu juga sesuatu yang motivasi. Mungkin internally gue juga orang yang kayak gak mau kalah ya, ada sedikit kiasu dari kayak ini, tapi lebih kayak anjir kalau nih orang bisa, yang tadi ngomong kayak kalau nih orang bisa kenapa gue nggak bisa, kayak do just less gitu, just start with kayak small steps dulu dan eventually gue bisa kayak gini. Thanks untuk kayak ada motivation juga.
Aman bro, happy. We'll all learn from each other, and then we all get inspired from each other. And then kalau misalnya for me, I think you do exceptionally well in the gym as well. Holy damn, kalau misalnya dia lagi bench press atau apa, gue kayak ngeliatin dia kayak anjir ya orang.
Gak apa-apa lah, kita bisa kapan-kapan nih sebenarnya ya kita sering nge-gym nih sama Budi juga. So yeah, we welcome anyone.
Ya, kayak harus, the thing is ya kita definitely want to create this bubble of like hopefully like-minded people yang actually have priorities to think more long term ya, and then have better mindset moving forward, determined, consistent dan lain sebagainya. And then what have you learned about like these things compounding over time?
Iya, I think yang tadi ngomong kan, maksudnya kayak lu misalkan lu nggak tahu kayak things kayak 100%, kayak ya kalau misalkan lu langsung kayak pengen jago di kayak butang, atau lu jago di coding, atau lu jago even kayak analisa saham gitu, lu jago dalam 1 hari, itu impossible. Tapi at least each day itu lu bisa misalkan mulai analisa satu saham, dan lu misalkan ada kayak teorinya lu, dan lu bisa tes itu gitu, kayak teori lu bener nggak berdasarkan saham ini gitu, kayak satu saham aja gitu lu ikutin misalkan, and then lu bisa kayak dari kayak pembelajar, dari kayak lu naik atau rungkat, ya lu harus analisa kenapa itu terjadi gitu. Dan in the end gue merasa even di compound dan kayak in any parts of life gitu, kayak there will be failures, there will be success gitu. Tapi yang gue realize adalah failures itu actually success hidden in plain sight aja. Kayak lu, as long as lu treat these failures as kayak pembelajaran, lu bisa belajar dari these failures, ya this failure gue consider success sih. Gue jujur aja kayak you just keep on performing, you just keep on doing. Kayak ketika lu fail, lu introspeksi diri, kenapa gue fail, dan gimana caranya ke depannya gue nggak melakukan hal yang sama. Dan in the end, gue cukup yakin semua orang bisa sukses.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think when you mention about failure is success hidden in plain sight, and the necessity for you to acknowledge that failure and learn from that. I also think that it requires a huge amount of humility as a person, knowing that you are fallible human beings, that you can make mistakes. How do you be humble?
Yeah, that's a difficult question again, and menurut gue kayak untuk being humble, it's actually looking through yourself dan being honest ya. Being honest susah sih, maksudnya being honest tentang diri lu sendiri kan, because people generally they tend to semacam kayak glorify themselves, and I would say kayak the more that you read books, the more lu kayak meet with people, and the more lu surround with people yang kayak you aspire to be, kayak lu realize kayak lu ada kekurangannya gitu loh, kayak lu mungkin meet with people yang kayak pinter banget gitu, dan lu kayak bingung kenapa nih orang pinter banget gitu. Tapi dan I think at that point gue bakal kayak anjir gimana caranya gue bisa jadi pinter gitu. Dan I think humility comes from your experience, and humility comes from the fact kayak lu tahu apa yang lu bisa dan apa yang lu nggak bisa. Karena gue percaya nggak ada orang yang kayak bisa semuanya aja sih di dunia. Kayak kalau misalnya Cristiano Ronaldo, dia jago banget di bola, tapi mungkin dia nggak jago di butang gitu. Kayak dia pasti lihat ada orang di mana di sana yang lebih jago aja in the things that he cannot do gitu. And dia kayak humble enough to know kayak gue kejagonya di bola, ya udah gue hone di bola aja gitu. Dan gue yakin kayak gue bisa get somewhere with this gitu. So humility I would say is about kayak knowing that lu nggak bisa kayak possibly know everything, and you always try to seek people's opinion juga, maksudnya people punya advices, and also reading books sih. I think reading books is always buat gue is a humbling experience. So let's say gue read books about kayak Bill Gates, gue read books about how Google was founded gitu, or gue read books about kayak ya misalkan yang ada di sini nih yang kayak ya gitu kayak
these successful people ya.
Iya, jadi gue realize kayak wah gue nggak tahu gitu kayak teknik-teknik ini, cerita-cerita ini, and how dia develop misalkan the first Google, the first kayak search engine gitu gimana caranya. Dan gue realize kayak gue nggak kepikiran gitu, dan orang ini kepikiran di tahun 2004 gitu. Jadi ya that in itself buat gue kayak it's always humbling sih. So ya meet with people yang new maybe, yang juga nggak stroke your ego, and you will realize kayak soon enough bahwa bahwa lu mungkin kayak just a small person now, and there are so many people yang kayak lebih pintar dan lebih kayak experienced than you, but what you can do from them adalah to accept kayak lu punya situation, dan ya lu learn from mereka aja, just because kayak they know more things gitu kayak, dan lu pasti tahu kayak kalau misalkan lu nggak tahu certain things, gitu.
Levels to this game ya.
Iya. Jadi ya mungkin ada kayak select few yang mungkin kayak juga kayak very overconfident, tapi menurut gua in general orang pasti tahu sih kalau misalnya diri dia kayak oke, gue nggak tahu these things, and the most important mindset adalah gue pengen belajar aja sih.
So what's the book that changed your life?
Wah, ini good. Tapi menurut gue rekomen Alchemist sih.
Alchemist. Paulo Coelho.
Iya, Paulo Coelho, because it
Why?
trains you untuk to have a dream sih, and to actually pursue that dream gitu, no matter what happens. Yeah. And itu is a book yang kayak menurut gue kayak helps me untuk kayak tahu kayak bahwa to take the leap of faith kan. Maksudnya kayak lu juga tahu kayak kita awalnya di Singapura we earn kayak a stable income gitu, and then you create a startup, and then I join a startup gitu kan, and where it's unstable gitu kan. But ketika misalnya kayak lu tahu kayak the things that you want to achieve, on the good that you want to bring to people around you, and maybe juga your clients gitu, ya lu realize ketika kayak a simple thank you from your client itu means the whole world gitu.
Iya.
Kayak the first client yang bilang kayak hey kayak Toby, hey Budi gitu, kayak ini pertama kalinya gue merasa kayak gue tenang gitu ketika hadapin market crash. Thank you for this gitu. Even kayak without them, maksudnya kayak ya semoga mereka top up ya. Tapi kalau without them topping up, kayak it's already like wah gue kayak bahkan gue sendiri yang kayak I'm a part of the team kan, tapi kan mungkin it wasn't directed to me gitu. I was just a person yang kayak managing gitu kan. Kayak gue aja merasa kayak we're doing something good aja sih. So ya that dream is going to be dream kalau misalnya lu nggak do something, but hey, we're doing something here. So I guess it's an aspiration gitu. Itu bakal terjadi.
Non-recompound related.
Yeah.
What is the biggest dream that you might have as a person? What do you wish to see, like for example, when you have grandkids?
Gue mau diingat sebagai orang yang at least kind to people yang gue don't even know sih. Kayak gue pengen, maksudnya kayak orang ngomong kayak iya semua orang kind gitu kan. Cuman at least kayak gue pengen be someone yang dikenal sebagai kayak that person kayak membantu gue untuk kayak overcome issues, and at least kayak kalau misalnya gue nggak bisa membantu orang, there's so many people kan, at least I wanna be known as someone yang kayak brings positive energy sih, because yang gue realize a lot of people are smart tapi not much people itu bring positive energy. So let's say kayak gue di Shopee dulu, kayak a lot of people itu actually kayak ngomongin about let's just quit, this work is useless gitu kan. And ya gue merasa in any company, in any kayak situation, a positive person tuh bakal nggak infectious aja sih, bakal kayak succeed aja in life sih. Gue merasa being positive and acknowledging lu punya mistakes, and ketika lu ada issue lu realize ya kayak I'm going to solve it, kayak or at least I'm going to ask for help on how to solve it. Itu bakal help you in anything sih, be it kayak handling kayak lu punya relationships, be it handling lu punya business, be it handling lu punya societal kayak relationships gitu kan. Jadi gue merasa I wanna be remembered as someone yang kayak brings positive energy. I think itu aja sih, karena menurut gue that positive energy, that thank you, that kayak warmness itu bakal kayak etches aja sih. Jadi rasanya kayak di Singapura kadang-kadang gue di bus gitu kayak ada an old lady yang kayak nanya ini caranya gimana, kayak gue bakal kayak misalnya kayak gue tipe orang yang how's your work, dan kayak bakal nanya kayak how's your day gitu sih. Jadi because that small act of kindness is just what the society is lacking aja sih at the moment gitu.
What do you think the youngsters of the societies nowadays can do better when the kindness is lacking?
I think start small aja, nggak usah stranger deh, kayak your family aja. Do you say thank you gitu ke lu punya parents gitu every day gitu? Do you kayak at least greet them gitu? Kayak it's so small kan, it's just a word that you mention kayak thank you, kayak udah kerja hari ini, I know it's tiring, kayak how can I do to help misalkan kayak, atau misalkan take them to kayak doctors atau gimana. So it's the small things in life, and it can start small with your family dulu, and before it comes to kayak donating to strangers gitu, because a lot of people focus on the big things tanpa kayak fundamentalnya kayak which is your family, the people that you're around with almost kayak 24/7. That's where lu should start aja dulu, to appreciate them, to spread the kindness, dan in turn mereka bisa spread them to the people around you. Misalnya
kayak kalau gue pernah dengar quote ini somewhere, people want to fix the world but they don't even fix their own families.
Itu that's tough sih.
Yeah.
Kalau lu gimana?
Gua?
Kalau
apa? What's the question from you?
Kalau lu in terms of kayak what do you want to be remembered for gitu? Gue penasaran juga sih.
I just want this thing to work aja sih. I just want to see like the Indonesian capital market lebih bener aja sih. I mean IDX sekarang masih cukup kecil ya kan. Dan tapi negara Indonesia itu besar sekali, sumber daya bagus, kita banyak duit, kita orangnya banyak.
Natural resources banyak.
Natural resources, banyak duit, banyak orang, semuanya banyak. Cuman kayak kita punya infrastructure di pasar modalnya obviously masih kecil banget. Obviously, hopefully when I have my grandchildren dan lain sebagainya, you would see very very cool companies is in the market, gitu kan. And then it's because we are deliberately trying to increase the quality of investors di Indonesia, ya kan? When you invest logically, when you invest with a proper fundamental thesis that, and when you stop, or like when you not stop lah, tapi reduce your speculative behavior, I believe it would have long-lasting significance yang kita sama sekali nggak bisa mikir itu order effect-nya tuh seberapa gitu. Mungkin the direct impact ya nggak gitu banyak, tapi
second order
second order impact itu akan kayak gitu terus sih. Jadi the little things that we do every day eventually would compound again in the future.
Amin
bro. Okay. Any last closing remarks for the audience? I think there has been
this has been quite a long hopefully I think buat di luar sana kayak facing difficulties atau mungkin kayak wanting to pivot atau learning new things, finding it hard untuk dealing with your own issues, which obviously kita juga nggak tahu. I think just know that you have people around you yang care about you, and as long as you try your best every single day, I'm sure kayak gue sering ngomong ini juga kayak ke Toby, kayak the universe tuh bakal help you to reach where you're supposed to be as long as lu kayak do your best at the things that you are doing sih.
Powerful stuff. Thank you bro.
Thank you